What's up, guys? I'm back. Time for an update. Well past time for an update on this thing. Here's the car. Still looks like this. Still sitting here. I'm going to explain everything that's been going on. Just been having a heck of a time of it, as usual. Literally no step of working on this car has been easy. It's been one thing after the next from pretty much the day that I got the car. So let me go through what's going on, where I've been, what's happening currently, and that'll give you guys a better idea of where we're going from here with this. Still rocking and rolling with it, still going. I've got a lot of people texting me, DMing me, asking what happened, where have I been, is the car still happening, is the kit still happening? Yes, it's still happening, and I'm okay, but let me explain what's been going on. So I'll try to keep this fairly short. I don't want this video to drag on too long, but I'll start kind of where we left off in the last video, which was 5 months ago. Crazy long time ago already. I was attempting to get this car to SEMA show this year, which obviously did not happen. And even in that last video I was explaining there was a very thin chance of that happening because of all the delays and everything that I was seeing. We were waiting for the 3D prints of the driver's side fenders and skirts and accessory pieces to be completed. And that was taking a very long time, a big delay on that. And then we were waiting for interior stuff to get started. There was a delay on that as well. And then one other really big thing that happened in between then and now that I will go into in just a second that really just kind of put everything on pause, even more so than the car itself and what's going on with the car itself. But let me start with the 3D prints that I was waiting for. They were, again, vastly delayed. I got them way past when I expected to get them. They did finally end up coming in about 3 weeks after the last video that I made, which was way later than I expected to, which already set things way back. And when I got those prints, it was just a disaster. It was not a pretty picture at all. They were just not workable. And I will actually show you the prints and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, but they were not acceptable for the level of quality that I'm going for, which in all of my videos I've really tried to emphasize that I'm really shooting for the top quality with this car in product, and what I got in those 3D prints just was not something that I was going to be able to achieve that level with. So again, I'll go into showing you exactly what I mean with that in just a second. But I hit a brick wall with that because it was very expensive to get those prints, only for them to not work. I not only lost the money, but I lost all the time that I was waiting for that to happen. I did immediately try to get started on another process of getting the kit printed because obviously I wasn't just going to give up and stop right there. I knew that there were other options out there. I've got a couple of buddies that were also doing some 3D printing work for their cars, so I started talking with them and finding out kind of what they're doing and if there's any better options. And sure enough, I definitely did have a better avenue that I was able to go down and get other 3D prints, better 3D prints done for the car, which is fantastic. But it did take a crazy amount of time. In fact, as of recording this video, I just picked up the new 3D prints last weekend, which is crazy. That's how long it's been taking to kind of restart the whole 3D printing process. But in the middle of all that, okay, in August, which would be, about a month ago now, my dad passed away unexpectedly. And if you've been a longtime follower of my channel, then you'll know that I'm very close with my family. I've mentioned it several times. And I lost my mom back in 2017, which I was also actively doing YouTube videos when she passed. And so, again, if you guys have been following the channel, you know how hard that hit me that time. And I was right in the middle of building the V1 for this car, the V1 kit, and that was just devastatingly hard. And so I kind of have just gone through that whole thing again, and I just lost my dad in August. And it was just really hard. Like nothing matters when that happens. Like the car stuff or whatever, it all just goes away. I don't know how many of you guys have lost a parent. I'm sure there's a lot of you who have lost a loved one. Doesn't necessarily have to be a parent, but there's just nothing like that. There's nothing like that that can affect you quite like that. And so that was just kind of thrown in there in the middle of me trying to deal with the car stuff and the 3D prints and doing my interior and try to get this thing to SEMA. Like that, none of that mattered anymore. And that's a big part of the reason why, I was planning on coming back to YouTube and coming back to social media and stuff like that a lot earlier than this, but it just, one thing after the next kept happening, and especially when my dad passed, I was just like done. I was like, no, I'm not coming back for a while. So I want to say thank you so very much to all of you guys who've been checking up on me and sending me messages and asking if I'm okay and if the car's still going and all that. Thank you guys. You guys are real ones. I really appreciate it. And thanks to you guys on YouTube who've stuck around and stayed subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much. But anyway, that happened and it really messed me up, like pretty good. So still going through that stuff with my family with that, but I am trying to get the car process going because obviously I can't just leave this out here. I'm still in my wife's good graces with getting this thing done because we want to move. We're actually trying to move overseas to Japan at some point here within the next year, and obviously I can't have this car sitting in this state indefinitely like it has been for the last 3 years, so I need to get it going, and it's just been a challenge for me to get it up and running again. But here I am, I'm back at it. I told myself this week I'm coming back to YouTube, I'm updating, especially as I picked up the new 3D prints. It gave me a great, there they are out there, it gave me a great opportunity for new content here on YouTube for you guys. So anyway, sorry to be so long-winded about all that, but that's just a brief, quick little 5-minute deal about what's been going on. Let me show you the first 3D prints that I got, and I will show you why these did not work, okay? And then I'm going to show you the new ones, and you'll see exactly why there's light at the end of the tunnel. Alright, so here we have the first set of prints for the driver's side pieces of the Excelsior kit. These were the first prints that I received. Sorry about the lighting here, it's not the best with the sun coming in here like this, but this is what I received. This was printed in PLA Plus, it's called, which is kind of an ABS plastic, and there are just numerous issues with this. It should be pretty clear to see why right away I knew that this was not going to work for what I was going for, the precision that I'm going for. Taking a little closer look here, this is one of the pieces of the rear quarter panel. I think one of 3 pieces of the rear quarter panel, kind of the middle section. And you can see here that there is a lot of surface distortion, and a lot of the lines, particularly in this section right here, are not the proper thickness. The lines are distorted. You can see this upper line here for this kind of spiked area is not straight. The sidewall is kind of warped out. You can see it's kind of bent out there on the front section. All the way up through the top there's warpage. So the top line, that's again very critical for making sure it fits on the body of the car. There's a lot of warpage. There's like a huge bubble right here. It's popping up where it should be more of a concave shape from the top in down through this recess right here. This is all way too thin. Crazy. Like, I tried to take this piece, for example, and put it on the car, and it was like it was for a different car. That's how off it was. Looking at the front section right here of the rear quarter panel, you can see just how much warpage there is in through the top right there. And again, a lot of real thin lines that should be thicker. It's very susceptible to breaking because of how thin this came out, and again, a lot of surface distortion, surface warpage. It was just a disaster when I got it. And you can see here in this section there's a lot of loose, stringy filament that never really adhered to the shape of the piece, and that kind of curvature right there. That's prevalent across almost every single piece. You can see here on this section of the front fender, which was printed in 4 pieces, there's a lot of surface distortion and stuff like that. And granted, a lot of this stuff is par for the course with this. It does require a lot of post-processing. I definitely know that, but the amount of warping and actual change of shape that came in this, and actual breakage of structure in this, meaning a lot of the filament that did not melt together between layers, just made this completely unworkable. I want to say, to be fair, PLA Plus was a big mistake. Like, I should have known that it was not going to be a good idea to try to print something of this scale and detail in PLA Plus, because it's just not meant for something with quite this much detail. And that's on me. I will own that. With stuff like, you know, even the smaller stuff like the headlight eyelid, like looking at the back side of this, like all that PLA is like peeling off. And you have to keep in mind that These pieces have to be refined to perfection. So they have to look, the headlight eyelid, for example, has to look like the one that I made already. And look at the difference. See how smooth that is, obviously, in the fiberglass. This has to be a match to like that. And of course, I already knew that this stuff was going to require a ton of post-processing, as 3D prints always do. I was well aware that it was going to require a lot of sanding and things like that, but that's where the other realization came in, that this isn't going to work, is that the amount of sanding it's going to require to get this stuff into even close to a smoothed out shape is going to compromise a lot of these pieces, especially where it's very thin. Plastic does not hold up well under high friction and heat, so I would suffer significant warpage with the amount of sanding I would need to do to get these things corrected and in the proper shapes. And then the other big problem is that I cannot add material to plastic. I can't fiberglass over this plastic. So, for example, again, back on the quarter panel here, this is supposed to be like a 1/4 inch thick right there on that little spike section, but it's super thin right there, so I would actually need to add material. Well, I can't add fiberglass there to add material because the fiberglass will not stick to plastic. And that's just one example. There are a ton of little areas on several of these pieces that require additional material that did not print correctly, didn't print thick enough, or didn't print with the line straight. So the line would have to be sanded down and then refilled and then reshaped in. There's a lot of distorted lines and warpage and things like that, and without the ability to add new material, like add new fiberglass, it's just going to be an absolute nightmare. It's a no-go. I could use something like a panel bond, but that stuff is incredibly expensive, and it's just not ideal to use as a filling material. On top of all that, the other major issue I was dealing with was trying to actually join the multiple pieces of these things together. So the quarter panel, again, for example, this is the front section and the middle section. Trying to join these together, it's supposed to go something like this, right? So where the sidewall meets up, but you can see just how much gap and how much warpage there is in there. See that? Like, that is impossible. Like, there's no way there's no way I'm gonna get this as precise as I need it to be. And I mean, it's like that on almost all the pieces, like the side skirt. And again, the side skirt is actually one of the better pieces that printed, at least this front and rear piece. With the gap that's in there, you can see how that gap is in there. And without being able to add material and refiberglass that on the plastic, it's just going to be way too much. It has to be perfect. It has to fit on the car perfectly. That's the way this thing was designed. If it's even a little bit skewed, like one of the pieces is a little skewed or off, it's not going to fit. So there's just way too much work that had to be done on this. I suppose if you had unlimited resources and time, it's possible to get these into some kind of a workable state, but for me, it just wasn't going to happen. So needless to say, it was extremely disappointing that that happened after the amount of time that went by and the amount of money that was spent on getting those prints. To receive them in the condition that I did, and even though I tried to get them to work for a couple of weeks and before I finally gave up on it, it was very disappointing, and it really just kind of took the wind out of my sails, as you can imagine. So I do want to emphasize, though, that I don't blame anybody but myself for the quality of those prints. I went into this fully knowing that this is not a standard kind of project by any means. These pieces are extremely large, extremely detailed, and it requires that level of 3D printing as well. And I really should have put more thought into the material that I was willing to print this in. I should have known that the PLA, a plastic type of material, was not going to work, because I did know, again, that there was going to be a significant amount of post-processing to do on this. And just by its very nature, I've worked with plastic before, I've worked with ABS and other various types of plastics. It's not very forgiving. You know, you make a mistake on it and that's just kind of the way it is. There's really not much you can do. It doesn't fiberglass. You can use body filler on it here and there, but even with body filler, it flakes off the plastic very easily and stuff like that. So I knew that I knew the nature of plastic material, but I decided to go ahead and go with the PLA mostly, and I'll admit, for the sake of the cost, it was a lot cheaper than going with a more expensive route. And I don't have money coming out of my ears, so I did take the chance because it was going to save me a little bit of money. And you know, I own that. And you know, that's what happens. You get what you pay for, and it just didn't work at all. I don't blame the guy who printed it. I don't, you know, I'll take the blame for it completely. He did the best he could with it. I do think that this was probably, it was a little more than he was able to chew, and I'm thankful to him that he was even willing to take on the challenge of it, and he did the best he could, and I appreciate him greatly for that, and I hope that, you know, we can work stuff out in the future together and go from there. But as it is, you know, it is what it is. This is how this kind of stuff works. You live and you learn, and you move on from there. And that's exactly what I did. As I'd mentioned, as soon as I found out that these prints were not going to work, I got right on trying to find an alternative method with an alternative material, obviously, now knowing that the plastic was for sure out of the question. And so I contacted a buddy of mine, Steven. He is pretty well known on social media. He's currently building a Volkswagen GTI. Made a custom body kit, very similarly to the way that I've been doing this kind of thing. And he will be at SEMA this year, so major props to him. But he had his body kit printed through a company called Make It Incorporated, and they have a very rapidly growing social media following as well. They go by Large Format Printer on Instagram, and so I had known about them even before I met Steven. I was actually in contact with them about this project probably 2.5 years ago. They were actually one of the first ones that I found on the topic of 3D printing large body panels for a car like this, and so they were actually already aware of this project and were willing to work with me on it. And really, again, the only reason why I didn't go back to that is because I knew it was going to be significantly more expensive to go their route as opposed to the route that I ended up taking. And I regret that now, obviously, because I should have just bit the bullet and just gone for the highest level quality to begin with. I care enough about this car. I've put enough blood, sweat, and tears and time into this thing to go at the top level, and I really, again, I own that. I made a mistake on it, and I paid for it, and that's what it is. I'll take it. But after contacting Steven and showing him the prints that I received and asking for his advice, he just told me right away, don't even waste any more time, go right to Make It, and they will take care of you, because they don't print in PLA, they print in glass nylon fiber, it's called, which is an actual fiberglass material, which is right off the bat, you should already know that is going to be a way better medium to work with, because it's very, very easy to refine. It sands beautifully. You can fiberglass it. You can fill it however you want. It does not warp under heat. It's just a beautiful material, and pretty much the standard right now, as far as I know, for doing this kind of concept prototyping for auto body panels right now. So he said it is going to be a little bit more expensive, so get ready to open up your pocketbook, but they will take care of you, and they're going to do it right. So I said, okay, that's what I'm doing. I contacted them again and said, hey, it's been 2.5 years. I don't know if you remember me, but I'm the guy building the crazy 350Z kit, and I just went through a big 3D printing fiasco, and it was a disaster, and I need help. I'm sending an SOS. And they said, hey, we are here. Let's do it. Let's take care of it. Send us the STL files. We'll take a look at them, and we'll get them printed for you. And so I got on that, got the STL file sent out to them, and sure enough, they got back to me and said, man, this stuff is crazy. This is like sculpture stuff. It's way beyond regular, you know, wide body flares or whatever. And it's beautiful, and we can print it, but it's going to require a significant amount of like support structuring and basically stuff that's going to make the price tag be quite high. There's going to be a lot more material that's going to need to be added in order to have them in the correct orientation in the printer and all that. And so the price tag is going to be, you know, so and so high, and it was high. But I said, you know what, I got to do what I got to do. I need to get this car finished. I've got a lot of people waiting for it, myself mostly, and my wife. She's, again, I'm in her good graces with it. So I got to do what I got to do. And so I went ahead with it. I sent them the STLs, and we got the process going. They got right on it, printed that stuff within about 4 weeks of sending them the file, which is lightning fast compared to what I've experienced in the past. And as I said, I just went to pick them up last weekend, and I am extremely extremely happy with the product that I've received, like night and day difference compared to when I picked up the PLA prints. So let me show you what those look like right now. All right, and here is the new glass nylon fiber printed pieces that I just picked up from Make It, and I cannot even begin to tell you guys the difference in quality from this to the old stuff. It's like night and day. Bear in mind, it still all has the support material that was used to print the pieces in proper orientation, so it's going to look a little strange. Big pieces like this are all going to be removed. This is the front fender, for example, and the side skirt. This whole section in here will be pulled out of there to reveal the recess and the side skirt and all that. Here's the headlight eyelid and all the support material that was used to print this in the proper orientation. But you can tell by where they added the support material just how precise they are when they do their printing. They want this to be printed exactly with every bit of detail and every line straight. Look at this, the rear section of the front fender. Look at how precise that line is, exactly the way it should be with that curvature in there, just as I designed it. Take a look at the thickness as well. This is not flimsy like the plastic prints were. Each piece is nice and thick. You can see the sidewall here on the rear quarter panel. Nice 1/8 inch, just over 1/8 inch of thickness, just like I designed it, maintained in the prints as well. All proper thickness in through the back vents that attach to the rear bumper here. This will be removed, of course, but they captured all my beveling on all of the pieces. All of the fine details and lines were printed with exact precision. So you can see that there. Sidewall perfectly straight, sidewall no warpage, super smooth on all of this. And this stuff, just as I rub my hands over it, it's already very, very smooth and straight, but with a little bit of sanding, it's just going to be absolutely perfect. And with this being a fiberglass material, adding material or removing material to it is going to be a breeze. It takes fiberglass perfectly. If I need to add a little bit of material, or I can use it to reinforce the back side of this stuff to make it a little bit stronger, I can add carbon fiber to it if I want. Whatever I want to do, the canvas is completely open with this. Unlike with the plastic, you're just completely stuck with that base and it doesn't take fiberglass and all that. This stuff is totally modifiable. I can do with it whatever I want to do. The seams where these pieces meet up are perfect as well. There's no strange gappage or anything like that. This, for example, right here, front fender meeting up right there. Absolutely pristine. Trying to hold this up with one hand is a bit of a challenge, but absolutely perfect. Very, very minimal, if any, deviation from the original design across all of these pieces. Side skirt as well, right here where it joins up. There's a lot of support material in there that needs to be removed, but that's a perfect match as I line these two pieces up. Another beautiful thing about it is they have larger printers than what was used to print these, so they were actually able to print all these pieces in fewer pieces. Like, they got the side skirt done in literally just 2 pieces as opposed to 3 that I needed for the plastic ones. The fenders also both were just 2 pieces, so 2 for the front fender, 2 for the rear fender. In contrast, for the plastic ones, the front fender itself was 3 or 4 pieces, the rear quarter panel was 3 or 4 pieces. Needed a ton of pieces for those. For these, it's just 2 pieces for the skirt, 2 for the fenders, and all the smaller stuff were all done one shot. So there is going to be a lot less processing time to get these things done. I think probably a majority of it is just going to be getting the support material off, making sure I'm filling any pits, just doing the sanding along the edges of the pieces to make sure everything's smooth. But as I said, they captured all of my beveling, all my details, so I'm not going to need to worry about putting in lost details or refilling anything that was not caught in the printer or anything like that, or that warped. It's all already dialed in. So moral of the story, you get what you pay for. It is true. It rings true in this industry as well. If you're doing something on this scale, like what I'm doing, don't skimp on it. Just go with the pros. Double check. Maybe you think you're going with a pro, but maybe not quite as pro as you need. So there's probably another pro out there who is more pro than the guy that you think is the pro. But anyways, don't skimp on this kind of stuff. I am very happy. This is definitely the light at the end of the tunnel for me. I was in a dark place with this project for a long time, and picking up these pieces has been a major, major blessing, a relief for me. I'm still reeling a little bit from the price tag of it, I'm not even going to lie, but that's okay. It's necessary. It is requiring that I put all the interior stuff on hold for right now, because I just frankly, I just don't have the money to get to it right now. That's also a very expensive process, so I'm not worried about that. Right now, I'm fully focused on just getting the body kit done and getting the car mobile. That's all I need to do right now, and we are on the right track. We got off for a little bit, but we're back on track, and we're good. So aside from that stuff, aside from the 3D prints and the fenders and all that, the other thing I wanted to show you guys real quick in this video before we wrap it up here is I got my carbon doors, which are absolutely epic, and I also ordered a new harness bar from Excelsior. So I will show you those. They're sitting right there back behind the car. They look absolutely incredible. They are made by Crown Carbon Crafting. At least they used to be called Crown Carbon Crafting. They have just recently, within the last couple months, changed their name to Hive, I believe, Hive Auto, which is cool. But they are still pumping out the same good high quality products that they always have been. So here are my new carbon doors, still in the wrap that they came in. I haven't even taken the wrap off. There hasn't been any need for me to do so, but you can see the beautiful quality of the carbon weave in there. They don't spare any expense with any of their carbon products, so I have no doubt whatsoever that these doors are absolutely beautiful, and I'm very, very excited to get these on the car. Not focused on that at the moment. Again, I'm just going to focus on getting the body kit all taken care of and dialed in, but I do have the carbon doors ready to go. And then I mentioned I also bought a harness bar that's back there from Excelsior. I'm not going to dig all this out right now. You can see what that looks like on their website, but that's going to be a major upgrade from what I have been running in the car already, so that will be nice. Also planning on doing a carbon overlay on the harness bar, so that will be very cool with the carbon theme of this car. And then right here in this white foam right there, that is a brand new set of carbon fiber Excelsior louvers. So we are switching over from the original metal style over to the carbon fiber louvers. Those guys were super cool to partner with me on those parts, as I had mentioned in a previous video. So thank you guys so much. You at Excelsior and Hyperhive is what Crown Carbon is now changing their name to. Thank you guys for partnering with me on this build. I can't wait to get the parts on the car so you guys can see it, and hopefully maybe next year have the car at SEMA before I move overseas. That would be very cool. I imagine I have enough time between now and then to actually make that a reality, but we will have to see. Life is life, and we'll go from there. But anyways, that's the update for you guys on the car. We're still rocking and rolling. I'm going to try to start getting back on social media here a little bit. I haven't posted on Instagram, I think, for at least a couple months. So I'm getting a lot of DMs right now from people asking where the heck I've gone. So I'm going to start posting back on there. Don't worry about that. And giving you guys updates, especially as I'm refining the new prints and getting those on the car. It's going to be so good to see this car with a full body kit and be able to stand right next to it fully kitted. It's going to be, oh man, a long time coming, but I'm excited to get to it, and I'm going to be taking you guys along for the ride for that. So thank you so much for staying tuned, guys. I'm okay. Thank you for your thoughts and prayers with my family and all that. We're still going through it, so thank you guys for that. I really appreciate it. I love you all. Thank you for sticking around, and I will see you guys as soon as possible. Peace out, and God bless. What's up, guys? This is Jeff, Siege Style here. I got an awesome announcement here. I am at Make It down in SoCal right now. They have 3D printed the driver's side of the Excelsior kit for the 350Z. This is a huge step. As some of you may know, I tried to print this kit in PLA previously, and it was kind of a disaster. It didn't work very well just because of the complexity of the design of the kit. But here at Make It, thanks to Steven, I want to give a big shout out to you because he highly recommended Make It for me to come and use their huge printers here to print the kit in glass nylon fiber, and this is a huge difference from the PLA. Everything is perfectly straight and smooth, and this can be sanded down to get the exact detail that I need with the Excelsior kit. They were also able to print the kit in minimal number of pieces as opposed to a ton of different pieces, so this is going to be a lot easier and quicker to put the kit together and get it into a moldable form. So we are rocking and rolling, guys, on this. I could not be more happy with the result that I got here from Make It. This is the best I've ever seen in 3D printing for making auto parts. So if you guys are doing something similar to this and you have 3D printing needs, please hit up Make It because they are doing God's work here If you guys need this kind of work done, they are definitely the way to go. I'm super happy and I'm so excited to show you guys the process of putting this body kit together.